Hello, broadcast community. It is MJ Calloway here with your next episode of Bounce Up Broadcast. And today's special guest is Kelly Frost, and she is an amazing woman with such a community spirit. You are going to love her. So, welcome, Kelly. So happy to have you.
Thank you. Good morning. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I when I think about you, when somebody will mention your name, Kelly Frost, the first thing that comes to mind is you are a community builder. You're the force behind building communities for other people.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That's really just something that I've always loved to do. People have called me a gatherer. I just
Mm.
love people that have pure hearts. They are trying to do good in the world. And when I see those kind of people, I just try to gather them together, and it's a force to be reckoned with.
You're definitely a force of nature, I will say. And you have built communities for so many other people, a former newscaster and nonprofit organizations and women organizations. The and now, you've built all these communities for so many years. And then what was it in the fall that you kicked off? Now you're doing it for yourself.
Yes, yes. Life is a learning curve. And
Yes.
actually today, it's ironic, today, 7 years ago, everyone's been using that word pivot. And
Mhm.
7 years ago today, I actually took a trip to Paris, and that sort of
Mm.
changed my life. I sort of realized that I wanted to do something different. And I had been, like you said, supporting other people, but I love to do that. I love to support other people. I love to help people go to the next level and, just take off and realize how wonderful they are. And I I I I do that pretty well. And I love to help people. But in February, I kind of decided, it was time for me to head out on my own. And I was ready, and the timing just seemed right. And so I did announce that I was going to have my own networking group that was going to be led by charity and led by kindness and grace. And that's where my group came from.
So taking a step back,
Hmm.
how did Paris, you mentioned Paris 7 years ago,
Right.
how did Paris,
Hmm.
what happened here? Like, how did you go from Paris and then 7 years later, now you're doing this? What was the connection there?
So the connection would be that I didn't do a lot of traveling. And I would say that when I went to Paris, that really changed a lot for me as far as confidence. I really
Okay.
believe that travel brings out a different side of people. And going to Paris really brought out a different side of me. I realized how strong I could be, how confident I
Mm.
could be. I just learned a lot about myself by traveling there. Now, you said newscaster. So, yes, I went with Darieth Chisholm to Paris. And a lot of the times she was in meetings and I was on my own. And I sort of explored Paris on my own and I did a lot of things that I never thought that I would do. And I went with confidence. And when I came back home, I almost felt like a different person. And she and I did a lot of things together that I never thought that I would do. And I continued that in every situation that I had since then. So it's been 7 years of kind of building. And like I said, in February, it was just the right time for me to be on my own and call all the shots and do exactly what I thought I needed to do.
Oh, that's great. So you were being bold, you were being courageous. You stepped into your life, and what I always say, you bounced up.
Yes. I wasn't gonna use your term, I figured you would use it, but yes.
You definitely did. So was it, I thought it was, so in, you decided to resign from another organization before you prompted this one. So is there something that, or before you started this one, founded it, is there something that prompted you that you knew this was the right time to do it?
Well, I actually was thinking about doing this right before the pandemic,
Okay.
and I was starting to put things into place, and I thought it was the right time, and then COVID hit. And, I didn't see that coming. I didn't think anybody did.
No.
So, I mean, everything happens at the right time.
It
And I
does.
was volunteering for another women's group. And that gave me an opportunity to dive into that group. And the women of that group are just wonderful. The members are just the most beautiful people. And that really gave me an opportunity to help them and to figure out exactly how to help some members in different capacities. And I didn't want to leave them. I didn't want to abandon them during the pandemic and shortly after. And it wasn't until I felt like everybody there was sort of back on their feet and they did pivot into the positions that they needed to be in. And once I felt like they were okay, then in December, I did step away from that group. I gave myself a little bit of time just to sort of decompress and figure out my next steps, definitely on how I wanted to, launch this. And then in February, I announced it. And then this is where we're at.
Okay, so share, because we haven't even mentioned the name of it. So share the name of it, the tagline, what it means
So
to you.
it means the world to me. But the organization is called P.E.E.L, and it's Pittsburgh's Elevated and Emerging Leaders. And we actually are launching this month in like 9 days. On May 21st, we launch. And our first event is Night at the Races, because one of our pillars is playful purpose. So every activity that we're going to do has to do with, professional development, personal achievement, and always giving back. But we always want to have fun. Life is just too short not to have events where someone is standing behind a pillar or standing behind a podium and speaking for an hour. That's just not going to be our events. We're always going to have a good time. We're always going to be giving back to the community, and we're always going to be giving back to our members as well.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome. So with it, you are, I love playful purpose. So love those two words there, that description.
Mm-hmm.
So with it, you have a purpose, you want it to be fun. In addition to the purpose, people are also learning, or because you mentioned elevated, you're elevating people. So can you just describe that a little bit more?
Sure. So after our launch, we actually are going to have some luncheons. So every month we have both men and women are invited to be part of this. I didn't want to segregate and just have ladies. So in June, we start our luncheons, and at every luncheon, we do have speakers that'll come in and, just educate and create awareness for whatever causes they have. So in June, we have both a men's and a women's luncheon. And then starting in July, we have happy hours. So the months that we don't have a men's, which is every other month, because let's face it, ladies love to get together. So every single month we have a ladies' luncheon. And for the gentlemen, it's every other. So the months that we don't have a gentleman's luncheon, we're going to have a happy hour where everybody's together. So that's where we're starting.
Okay. Which makes, because now you have the whole population, because when you only have women, then you leave out half. So you're having specific events for both females and males, and then also one bringing everybody together, which sounds very different than a lot of organizations that are out there. So that does make you different. But I think the other thing that makes you different, we didn't quite touch upon it. You'd mentioned the Night of the Races. So there's a purpose behind the Night of the Races also.
Yes, there's actually a purpose behind everything that we do.
Okay.
But one of the things that I really felt was lacking in a lot of organizations is awareness and a deep dive. We also, like I said, want to always be giving back to the community. So every quarter, we have a partnership with a nonprofit or a charitable organization. So for instance, this first quarter, Sisters Place is our charity partner. And I wanted to do it each quarter instead of monthly or each luncheon, because I wanted to make sure that our members and other people in the community really understand about the charities that we've chosen. So instead of during the luncheons, I know a lot of places just collect clothing or they do a food drive, which is phenomenal. That's definitely needed in a lot of cases. But in some places, I have seen that they collect clothing and they give it to a charity, And that may not be something that they need. It may be something else that they need, and they're actually donating those clothing to somewhere else because that's not what they're in need of. So what we wanted to do was go into these charities and find out exactly what it is that they needed. So like I said, Sisters Place is the first one. So we went in and we are boots on the ground. So we went in and helped them with their first fundraiser of the year, which was crushed grapes. So they were in need of volunteers. So we gathered about 10 people from P.E.E.L and we went in and helped them and volunteered at their event. We went in pre-event and gathered things that they needed and brought them to. We helped them to set up. We helped them to clean up afterwards. We were actually a sponsor for them, so we brought all the centerpieces in for their event. Last weekend, they had their Highmark walk, so they had a tent there. So we got a team together and we went out in the rain and had our umbrellas and our ponchos, and we helped them and we walked. So also with the night of the races, a portion of what we bring in that night will also go back to them. But we
Okay.
really, in any capacity that we can help them, we want to. The very first ladies luncheon, Melissa Ferraro, who is the executive director of Sisters Place, we have invited her to come and speak for a few minutes so that all the ladies at the luncheon get to know her and get to know Sisters Place. So our hope is that after the quarter of them being our charity partner, people know Sisters Place. They know what it's about,
Mhm.
and they continue to spread awareness about it.
Oh, they're getting 3 months of dedicated PR
Yeah.
and exposure,
Mhm.
which
Yes.
is fabulous. So what is the mission of Sisters Place?
So Sisters Place, they actually just moved from Clariton to Carrick, and they take in women that are in need, that are displaced, that have been homeless, that are in maybe domestic violence
Mhm.
situations. And it's not a short-term situation that they provide for them. They take them in for the long haul. They help provide them with housing that is long-term. They take in the entire family. They also help them with
Wow.
education. They help them with furniture. They help them to the point where they're not only back on their feet, they are much better than they ever have been
Mhm.
before. And then they help them find housing so that they can continue to grow and prosper.
They're helping them thrive.
It's unbelievable. And there's so many people that have actually been through Sisters Place that have come back to volunteer or
Oh,
actually work there. It's not
yeah.
only a place of salvation, but even the women that are working there now, they understand and they're compassionate. And I've
Mhm.
never met a group of women that work at a place like this that understand. There's no judgment
Mhm.
there. It's just love.
And you never know how you can end up in that place. I mean, part of my story is I started over with $500 when I left a long-term marriage due to domestic abuse. So
Mhm.
you never know. Life just throws unexpected events.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, you're
what?
absolutely right. Yeah. Melissa was actually
Yeah.
just talking about that, especially with the pandemic. So many people have, medical issues that they had, or they're one paycheck away from being homeless. And you would
Mhm.
never know. There was a room full of women. And she was saying, the percentage of women that were sitting there that may not want to say anything, but one paycheck away puts you in a situation that you never thought you'd be in. And a lot of women are
Yes,
just, they don't want to talk about it, but yeah, it is a serious situation.
definitely. And it's so wonderful that you are doing this, you and your organization, P.E.E.L, is doing it. And for our audience who are listening, we are in the Pittsburgh area. So whenever Kelly is mentioning some of those cities, those places, we are in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area here. So
Mhm.
the now, how do you decide who will be the the charity, what charity for the next quarter? How do you make that decision?
So Melissa's actually one of our champions. And when I say champions, that's what we call our volunteers or ambassadors. So I have been blessed in my life. I have 15 champions that have come on board. And the way that I chose them is just they have come into my life in a variety of different ways. And what they do for a living has not made a difference. How much money they make does not make a difference. I've chosen them by how I've seen them in their lives, how they react to people, how they conduct themselves. And they have the largest hearts. I know I can trust them. They're just beautiful
Mm,
people. Melissa happens to be one of those. And again, she is the executive director of Sisters Place. I've known her for years. And I also know that how much need they have right now. And that is
Mhm.
one of the reasons that I chose them for the first quarter.
Okay. And then who makes the decision? You and these 15 volunteers, these 15 champions?
Yes. So I do a lot of surveys with them. So
Okay.
I'm always open to suggestions and what they all want to do and how they feel about things. And right down to, hey, we're going to do a group activity. Do you want to go see a Steelers game or a Pirate game or a Pens game? So I always want to know exactly how the group is feeling because I trust their opinions and they really have their thumb on the community. So I have been asking them, who's in need right now? Where is their suffering? And what can we do to help them? So I've been getting the opinion of,
Okay.
yes, my champions.
That's wonderful. Okay, let's talk about P.E.E.L because I want to make sure that we talk because without P.E.E.L, none of you can't do these fundraisers for these charities.
Mhm.
So what is P.E.E.L? We know what it's about. How does someone decide whether it's a good organization for them or not? Like how do they enroll or how do they register or get involved?
Sure. So we do have a website it's set up. It's the peelproject.com. And
Mhm.
within them, there is memberships that you can have. And I wanted to make sure that it was completely affordable for everyone. So there's 4 different tiers of membership.
Okay.
And I mean, all the way up to a partnership. And within that as well, there's a lot of small businesses that don't understand marketing or how to get themselves out there. So a lot of the member benefits have to do with that as well, because we do want to be helping people in business. Bottom
Mhm.
line, everybody needs to make a living, and we want to make sure that we're helping them. A lot of our members, we do cross promotions with them to kind of help everyone do better in business. And everyone sort of ends up being pretty good friends. That's just sort of how it happens.
Mhm.
So, I mean, especially with the luncheons, everyone gets to know each other pretty well. So that's where we've started is with membership benefits.
And you're right. If a small business is not making money, how can they help donate or volunteer? Or, it starts with if you don't have money coming into your business, you can't help anyone else.
Right.
So, with that, have you found that marketing, because you had mentioned marketing seems to be one of the areas that is maybe a weakness or not a strength for small businesses? And that's one of the reasons you have that as a benefit?
Yes. Especially after the pandemic. And I know I keep saying that
Mhm.
word, but it's just a
It's
reality.
it is.
And so many people have been trying to rebrand, and that is something that's almost an epidemic right now. So many
Yes.
people during the pandemic had lost their job, found that they had to find something else. They're turning a hobby into their new career, but they're not quite sure where to get it started from. They're even not sure how to start their foundation as far as legal. How do they get an
Mhm.
EIN? How do they get insurance? And that's something that a lot of places have not been working on. That is a staple of what we have too. So we have several of our members that are helping with that because we want to make sure that everybody's protected. So soup to nuts, we can help everybody that comes on board with Peel.
So you're looking at entry level for a small business going all the way up to which are fourth level. So,
Um,
and
it-
can you describe them?
yeah,
Can you
so
just,
it's an individual, and then we have advocate, mentor, and then we have partnership. So, I
okay.
mean, it really is, we cover absolutely everything. So, with my media background and marketing background, I mean, I've pulled in
Mhm.
people that can really help all of the businesses that come aboard, but that's why we're elevated and emerging leaders. So, it covers both. So, someone who's ready to take it to the next level, we can help them. And someone who's just coming into business or not quite sure where they're going, we can also help with that as well.
And everybody learns from everyone else.
That's
It
true.
doesn't matter if you're a newbie or if you're experienced, there's always something we can learn from someone else.
Absolutely. I always say you should always have 2 things in life. You should always have a mentor and you should always be mentoring someone else. So pulling somebody else up while someone else is pulling you. Always be learning and always be teaching.
Yes, always. I will agree with that. And I call them mountain guides. Someone who is where you want to be, I call them mountain guide. They have already been through the bushes, the weeds, the sand traps, and they know what can either keep you down. They also know when you're making excuses, so they give you that kick in the butt. So,
That's so true. You definitely need that in life. I mean, I've had my butt kicked a few times by people saying, "Hey, you should be doing this." In fact, that's kind of When I started P.E.E.L, people kept saying to me, why aren't you doing this on your own? Why are you just helping others? You need to be starting your own. So I've had my
Uh,
butt kicked.
it's that cliche. Our customers tell us what business we're in.
That's
So
true.
your colleagues were telling you what business you're in.
Very true. Very
and
true.
and listening to it. Oh my goodness, I've had that happen to me so many times. And and being open. You were open to receiving it
Yes.
and,
I
and
have
doing
learned
it.
over the years that if you do not listen to people that are talking to you that you trust, why aren't you listening to them? If you trust someone and you know that they have your best
Yes,
interests at heart, God gave you two ears for a reason and one mouth. That's, the old cliche, but it is very true.
it is. So we are coming to the end of our time here, but before we do, is there anything else that you would like our audience to know, you want to share that I
Um,
haven't asked?
no, you're very good at this. I think you've done this before.
A few times.
No, I'm just really excited about getting this started with the launch, and it's just going to be a lot of fun at the night at the races. Our luncheons are going to be something different. We even at our happy hours, we're going to have a little bit of surprise entertainment. We always want to have something different, and we don't always give everything away at the beginning. So, but in November, we're also going to have our grateful gathering. So our members and non-members are all invited, but our members, like I said before, we're never going to have a podium, but we're going to have live entertainment. So Mark Ferrari is going to be coming and performing. We're going to have a dance floor. It's going to be a night of just giving back and being grateful for what we've had throughout the year. And all the members are welcome to give us something that they've been grateful for. And during the evening, all the monitors are going to be kind of looping all the things that our members are grateful for. And they can be anonymous or they can put their name to it. But I think it's really important to really look back and just be grateful. There's always something to be grateful for, and there's always somewhere where you can be giving back. And really, life is all about grace and kindness and just being authentic. And that's really what I'm about.
And knowing you, I would say, because you give so much to so many and it's great to see that you are doing P.E.E.L. It's great to see that you are taking everything that you have done for everyone else, and now you're leading the way to help, not only help business people, but also to help charities and those in need. So, kudos to you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
So I have one question about the night of the races because I am going.
Yes.
The so we get to name our own horses.
Yes, you do. Yeah. So you get to name. So if you buy a horse, you get to name your horse. And then if your horse wins, you also get some proceeds from that. And I will say, Pittsburgh is a very wild town. So some of the horse names have been very creative. And I can't wait for our caller to be yelling out the names of these horses.
I was debating if I wanted to do something just pretty calm, name it after my dog, Gidget Girl, or if I wanted to do something like pretty fun, or maybe just be the bounce up diva. So I
You know
haven't.
what? Buy more than one horse and go down every avenue.
I thought either a horse or a jockey.
You know what? There's a lot of options on that. And also
Yes.
that night too, we are going to be having a hat contest. So make sure that you wear your best hat.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. So, Kelly, can you again tell us what night that is?
It's May 21st. It's a Saturday and it's at the Rivers Club downtown.
Okay, so you can join Kelly and I at the night of the races. For those of you in the Pittsburgh region, we would love to see you there. And if I haven't met you personally, be sure to stop and say hello. Kelly, how can people get a hold of you?
So you can go to thepeelproject.com or you can go to P.E.E.L Pittsburgh on Facebook, and all the information is there too.
Okay, great. All right, folks, this is it for this episode of Bounds Up Broadcast. Kelly, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing everything that you are doing, which is pretty extensive there, and looking forward to connecting with you at some of your events.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you, and you do such a great job with everything that you do and all of your shows that you're doing, and you're always bouncing up, and you're just a wonderful person too.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, everyone, signing out. Until next time, remember to make it a bounce up day.